Welcome to Backyard Family Fun, the podcast from Pride Pool, Spas, and Leisure Products. In Claxton and Savannah, Georgia, celebrating 50 years serving our community, this family-owned business has spent decades helping create memories that last a lifetime. Whether you're a pool owner, a spa lover, or just looking to turn your outdoor space into a true retreat, we've got you covered right here on the Backyard Family Fun podcast. Of course, we're having another great, informative, educational, and hopefully a whole lot of fun episode for you. Excited to have Alex Smith back with me on this episode. Alex, welcome back.
Great to be here, Dee.
Yeah, great to have you. Great to sit down with you. This is going to be a really fun conversation because 'tis the season to be talking about. Really, I think a lot of people don't really close their pool anymore, but some people are sort of revamping for spring and summer and warmer weather. And, you know, there's some stuff you should probably be doing. Am I right?
You're 100% correct on that. It seemed like as time has evolved, we've found out that less and less people are covering their pools, are winterizing their pools. So what we started doing is like recognizing that, and we do a lot of things to help people cover instead of winterize. And so if someone did shut their pool down and they're getting ready to open it up for the summer, we certainly can give you some steps for that. But if you just covered it and just kind of keep debris out of it, then just take the cover off and the status quo. You just leave everything like it's going. And, of course, you didn't use the pool probably during the winter months, but you kept the debris out of it. So the first thing we ask you to do is get a water sample to us. That's very, very important because you didn't use the pool, but see, water is water, meaning that it balances itself, whether it's summer, winter, fall, spring, it doesn't really matter. So you got to keep the water balanced. Bring us a water sample. We can test it out completely. And then that's your first step, and you can add the necessary chemicals to that. And then, of course, there's other steps as well, but getting that water balance is the number one thing. And sometimes when you open the pool, again, if it was winterized and you take the cover off and it's not the blue color it was when you covered it,
Right.
There may be something went sideways. Something didn't go quite right maybe. And, you know, who knows what that was, but once you get the cover off and it's got that green tint, you want to treat it. It may be a certain algae, it may be mustard algae, green algae, black algae. That's where we come in. That's where we help you with that. So, just get the water right, and then we kind of move forward from there.
This is especially for the kids at a very exciting time of the year because, yay, we get back in the pool and all the things. And I think one of the things that a lot of people, I'm glad you mentioned that about bringing in the water sample, getting that tested. I've seen a lot of people just in the last couple of weeks walk into the store with a little water bottle. It's got pool water in it.
That's right.
And you get a lot of information from that and very clear definition on what we need to do.
That's right.
From that moment.
That is correct. That is correct. The water, that tells us everything about the pool. So once we get everything in the pool, like your calcium, it does a lot of different levels that a normal test kit would not do.
Right.
So you got the calcium levels, the pH, and the alkalinity, the mineral level. It could be copper, it could be iron, it could be magnesium. You don't know what type of metals in the water. And then, it's called total dissolved solids. And there's just a lot of different cyanuric acid. I mean, I could keep going. It's like 14-point checklist.
Oh, wow.
That we test for. And it, the printout is designed to take you step by step. And, once you get the chemicals you need, you follow the directions. And we got the printout for it. And, everyone here in our store is completely trained. So they're trained by all of our chemical brands that we have, and meaning that, during the off season, we send staff to be certified and all the chemical and everything that each chemical does. So taking the chemical off the shelf and reading it, that's one way to add it. But with us, we gather a lot more information about the pool,
Mm.
meaning that is it a sand filter? Do you have a sand filter on your pool? Is it a cartridge filter, diatomaceous earth? There's different filters out there. What's your sanitation? Is it chlorine? Is it Bacillus? Is it salt? A lot of times people, they just don't think that matters. But we gather so many different, we ask you a lot of questions. And the more we know about you and your pool, it helps treat it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a prescription. You go into the doctor's office,
Yeah.
you got this ailment, and hopefully he prescribes the right prescription, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
it is a practice, and not every prescription is going to be spot on, but based off the information you give us when we ask you those questions, it helps us diagnose it, and therefore we'll prescribe it, and you treat it accordingly by the steps that's on the printout.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of
Yep,
sense
yep,
because,
yep.
you go in with a certain, this is hurting on me and that's hurting on me. And get
That's right.
get the doctor to do certain things, but they do ask a lot of
They do.
questions.
They do.
They get a lot of information, and hopefully what they give you on the back end is something that's going to take care of each one of those
That's right.
things.
That's correct.
So that makes a lot of sense. And
Yep,
it is very interesting to see how much information that you get from just that one sample
That's
of
right.
water.
It is. That's the only way we know how to solve a problem. And, listen, we love our customers. There's a lot of customers we have built. I think we talked about it in our other episode where we're generational pools that we built.
Yeah.
And with second and third generations that we built pools for on families. And so they're coming in and asking questions and want to be certain that, but we want to be certain we got the right information. That's the thing. And if it's like, again, going back to the doctor's visit, if you tell him that something's going on with your back, but he gives you something for your shoulder,
Right.
that's not really effective.
That's not
But,
gonna do it.
It's not going to work. So if they tell us it's the algae looks like a mustard algae, but it's really a green algae, we got to be certain and treat it accordingly. Our water analysis system is pretty smart, but the one thing it does not do is it tells if you have algae. So it will let you know there's a problem with the pH and the alkalinity. It's got metals in it and so forth, but it will not say, oh, you got mustard algae or you got green algae or your water's very cloudy. That's where the homeowner and the associate is asking those questions. And we have a list of questions posted there, and it's not like we're trying to interrogate you,
Yeah.
but we do want to know about your pool.
Sure.
And, consequently, you might learn more about them and the pool but more information is always better, right?
That is
I've
always
always
better.
said that.
That is
The more
always better.
information you have on something, the better you can resolve it.
Yeah.
So we do ask a lot of questions, and it's in the profile. So the homeowner, once they get their printout of how to treat their ailment, it's got everything listed of what type of algae they have, how you're going to treat it, and you're supposed to add certain things at certain times, and it's a step by step. So if we get the wrong information, then you'll get the wrong treatment, but that's not our ultimate goal. Is be certain, and we have a lot of different ways to verify your pool. We have a lot of different things. Our software is, I've always said computers is only as good as the information you put in there, right? Well, we have another system, and it works off of images and video. So every time that we make a visit to a home, everything so we take images of your entire pool, your equipment and your pool shape, design, the decking, everything. So, and that goes into your file. That goes in your profile. So customer comes in and they're not sure about a certain part they might have, which we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves about the cleaning and equipment, but we can show them, is this your pool? And they'll say, yes, that's our pool. Is that the part you need for your skimmer? And that is our skimmer, and that's the basket we need. So guess what? Bingo. we found the part you need.
That's a big
and
deal, yeah.
It is. And I've always, like I said, the more information you have, the better it is. As a lot of people come in, I want this thing that goes to the, whatchamacallit,
That's right.
Well, I, we got some whatchamacallits, but I don't know if it's the one you need. But we
You've
will
got like
figure
a
it out.
wall of
Oh, we
whatchamacallits.
do.
We got to figure out which
Oh
one you
yeah,
need.
we do. We can get really deep with that,
I
and
bet.
we eventually we kind of troubleshoot it and kind of narrow it down.
Mhm.
And every time we make a visit, so we have images. If it's a brand new installation, we'll have all those images. And if it's a pool that's 20 years old and we've been there, we will get it on file. So
Yeah,
a lot of times when you buy, the pool, the house comes with it.
that's right.
So, and that's why a lot of people do sometimes look for. That's not the right pool we want, but the house happens to come with it. Okay, we'll take the pool.
Yeah.
And come to find out, that's where we come in and help you with every facet of it when it comes to the shape and the condition of the water and all that. So
Yeah, because you're going from one pool owner to another
we
pool
are.
owner and
That's right.
same pool.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you never know because the pool itself shouldn't change,
Yeah, yeah.
but ownership changes, and sometimes, as we know, people may do things a little differently,
Sure.
and sometimes you don't intend to learn a different way. Is it the right way or the wrong way?
Mhm.
You're not real sure, but it's a different way, and that's our job to help you explain to you that this is the right way, and
Yeah.
we have all that right here, D. Anytime a customer comes in, we have the equipment actually on the floor.
Oh, nice.
So, like the filter and the
Yeah.
pump and the cleaners and all that. And if they're not sure, they can just point,
Yes,
that looks like mine.
that's right.
And we can find the part or show them how to operate it right here in the store.
Yeah.
So coming in and bringing in a water sample, you kind of get a lot more bang for your buck
I
just
was
bringing
gonna
in
say,
water.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
for
back to
sure.
our doctor analogy. It's like a physical on steroids sort
That's
of
right.
thing.
That's it.
I like it. Let me ask you about this. We were talking about sort of, opening a pool, and a lot of people aren't necessarily winterizing, like you said, anymore, or closing down completely and that sort of thing. What about like for pool owners? Is there anything you do differently sort of at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year? Are you doing the same sort of thing? Is it the same routine?
Good question. So beginning of the year, there is certain things to add to your water. So there's a concentrated algae side, and again, before if anybody just covers the pool, you do need to add the right treatment. So it's a lot of concentration of algicides and shock treatment, and it gives it high levels. So when you do cover it, you're less likely to get any algae or any problems when you uncover it. So there is a shutdown process. So, and like I said, down here we don't even have a frost line or much less a freeze line. So we kind of a lot of people would just cover the pools with these nice safety covers. It looks like a big trampoline mat over the
Right.
pool.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yep, and it really looks nice aesthetically, but it keeps the debris out. A lot of leaves and different things coming off the trees, acorns and so forth. But if there's a tree, sometimes pretty close to the pool,
Hmm.
or even far away from the pool, it'll find whatever comes off that tree. It'll find its way in the water.
It finds the
A lot of
pool.
times it will.
Yes.
It does have a tendency to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's our job to help you with that. And if you're maintaining your equipment, which we could certainly get into some of that later. But I think the biggest thing is a lot of people just don't let their filter. Let me back up. Pumps. If you just let the pump run more than less, you will have a whole lot less problems with your water.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to explain that until you experience the difference in it. And it really is a big difference because I will promise you, I have no ties with the power company. I have no stock, and I don't have any relation at all with that, other than I pay my power bill and it gets high sometimes,
Right.
especially in the summertime. But I will say that the power bill that you spend by letting your pump run 24/7, that money is very cheap compared to treating the pool for an algae problem. Because I'll assure you, if you do cut back your pump and you decide not to let it run as often, algae will bloom. And then you have to go to a certain algae treatment. And before you know it, you already spent a couple $100 on an algae treatment. Your power bill didn't cost that. I mean, not for that particular time. So you can save money, believe it or not, by spending just a little bit of extra power. It will prevent a lot of problems. And that is the truth. You'll find that some customers, until you try it, you might not know it. But don't take the risk, because why spend the money for an algae treatment? Who
Right.
wants to deal with that? I mean,
Right.
who wants algae in their pool? No one wants that. And, you know, everybody wants crystal clear blue water. That's what everybody wants to jump into.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, it doesn't matter what shape or design or features you have with it. People just want to jump in crystal clear blue water, and that's the bottom line. That's our ultimate goal for all of our closings or openings, and then certainly we can. We do have long term like maintenance care or cleaning or cleaners, but we certainly like to get the customer started off the right way when they open the pool up. Because if it's running, the filter's running, and it's just covered, more than likely it's probably going to be all right. Meaning that, you're keeping the big debris out of it. But when's the last time you had water tested?
Right.
That's something to think about. And like I say, it don't matter if it's winter time, January, February, March, water is water. So, water is cooler, and sometimes you got the calcium levels that might fall out of solution or stay in solution at certain times of the year. But it bottom line, pH is pH, and alkalinity, it stays like that all the time, 24 hours a day. And so just because you're not using it doesn't mean that the pool's not working right.
Right.
So you got to be certain to just keep the water balanced, and water will balance itself. I mean, if you have unbalanced water, we have these pools that have these finishes called monoliner, and you got plaster called concrete pools, and you got fiberglass finishes. But if the water is unbalanced long enough, it'll start pulling what it needs out of the material that it's on. And it will actually pull the pH right out of that liner. I've seen liners turn into wash rags. I mean, it'll just wrinkle it right up.
Yeah.
And it'll destroy the pattern. And you don't understand why it didn't last as long. And it's unintended consequences most of the time.
Sure.
But if you just bring us a water sample, we say every 4 to 6 weeks, if it's a couple months, and you get the routine down, get you some nice test strips, and you can do this yourself easily. But we certainly are here to give you the tools to start the right way. A lot of times, the segue of ownership we were talking about earlier, sometimes they don't mean to tell you the wrong way
Yeah.
to clean the pool.
Yeah.
They don't mean to tell you how you should run the pool, but it does have you just may pick up habits that shouldn't be there. And that's our job, to correct it. And because as a professional, we're going to show you the right way the first time.
Yeah.
And hopefully everybody that's here is on the same wavelength that everybody else is, because there's some variables that could, again, it's a practice.
Yeah.
And we're treating the water, and everybody's water is different.
Right.
And every customer is different. So you just got to be certain that we get the right information. And if you got that, usually you can treat the problem.
Yeah.
Whether it's the person or the pool.
Well, and you got to think too, like even from like, let's say, you and I live in the same neighborhood. We have the same exact kind of pool and that sort of thing. In the back, your backyard might be set up different than my backyard. You might have a tree that I don't have, vice versa,
That's right.
something that's going on. So even though we have the same pool and we're like, holding the same parties at the same time and doing all the same fun stuff, we might have to treat things differently,
You're
right, from
You're
pool
right.
to pool.
You're 100% correct, D. That is, we've seen that. We've seen neighbors that, like one neighbor, alkalinity is always low. I mean, it's just like, why is my pH like that? I don't understand. And then, the neighbor in the same neighborhood, it's like 2 houses down. They have issues with, they can't seem to get the algae straightened out.
Right,
So,
right.
but every pool's treatable. Every pool has a solution, and that's what we do. We just diagnose it, and we ask you questions, and providing the answers you give us, we'll give you the treatment plan. And usually the printout would do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll write our notes on there. If it's something more than just your water that we're treating and we want to, like you purchase a maintenance item here, vacuum hose or a cleaner, whatever it might be, we might write some things down on the printout to kind of give you some shortcuts and tricks of the trade
Right.
to help you get the pool cleared up. But, the last thing we want, and like I was saying earlier, we want crystal clear blue water at the end of the day. But you know what? A pool should be fun and not work.
Yeah.
Who wants to work? I've always said that, like, wow, you don't buy a pool to be aggravated. You don't
That's
buy a
right.
pool to work on it. And it's kind of like, some people kind of get that, I don't know what you call it, that label or that misunderstanding that pool's a lot of work.
Yeah.
We know better than that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah. That's right.
with the right equipment and the right instructions and the right treatment, it really is simple. I really and truly just spend just minutes a week is all on
Yeah.
my pool because I have it set up where it just takes care of itself.
Right. And then you get a lot more enjoyment out of
That's
it.
the
You
thing.
really do.
You want to be able
Yeah.
to jump in
Yeah.
and not have to be bothered with all
That's
that
right.
dumping this in.
Spend an hour doing this and doing that. Nobody
Who
wants
wa-
that.
no, I certainly would not.
Well, let's talk about maintenance a little bit and some of the equipment because I think too a lot of folks might overlook certain things that they might need to do maintenance wise or maybe just don't know that this should be on my sort of maintenance to-do list. Is there a to-do list? Should we are there certain things that you think people overlook often that they should
Well,
come back to?
yes, I think so. We believe in keeping things simple, and there is 5 steps of pool care, and I know Steve mentioned that.
He did, yeah.
Yep, and it that 5. Can I remember 5? No, can I remember 3 out of 5? You probably could still get by
Right.
out of that, but the main thing we're trying to educate you about is that if you do that, then you're going to find out you're going to have less issues with the pool. The brushing, the chemicals, the treatment, the vacuuming, that's part of ownership of a pool.
Yeah.
It's just responsibility. When you buy a car, let's just say a boat, because, you're going to buy a pool or we're going to buy a pool this summer. So, but if you have a boat, excuse me, there are certain things you need to do. If you don't, you're going to have problems with it.
That's
in the
right.
water, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is get in the water and won't crank or something goes wrong and you got to call a tow. That's not fun. Pool, no different. You get out there or you get out in the backyard and you want to jump in and then before you go to jump in, it doesn't look good.
Right.
It's like, what happened? You worked all week long
Yeah.
and you sun up to sundown
That's the
and then
worst.
you get out there on Saturday morning you want to jump in and it's like, what's happened to the pool?
Yeah.
And you scream at somebody. The
Yeah.
dog's right
Yeah,
next to
yeah.
you. So the dog takes the punishment. But you do not want to have problems with algae. And that's where we come in. We help you prevent that. I mean, I've always said, the investment you make of getting the pool, whether it's above ground or in ground, it's an investment. It's an investment. And it's an investment for your family. It's an investment for you because not only is it going to create backyard family fun,
Yeah.
it's going to create a lot more memories and fun. So you want good things associated with
Yeah.
the pool. So who wants to be out there brushing? And in July when it's
Yeah.
110 degrees, I wouldn't want that. And I sell them.
That's right.
There's no way I'm going to do that. So I can't tell you last time I vacuumed my pool. I'm not going to probably. I've never vacuumed it. To be honest with you, I have to be honest about that. But I will tell you, I got this thing that goes in it.
I was
that
going to
cleans it.
say, I have a feeling
I got
you have
something
something
else.
cool that goes in it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
yeah,
right.
We do. We make it where, hey, you just turn it on and enjoy and relax. Go
Good.
there and cook you something on the big green egg.
Yeah, that's my kind of
There you go.
backyard
Yes,
situation
yes,
right
yes.
there.
We love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Well, speaking of brushes and vacuums and tools and oh my, let me ask you, what are your 3 must-have cleaning tools for the
Yes.
pool? Do you have like a top 3?
I do, or we do, yes, when it comes to cleaners. So there is, if you purchase an in-ground pool or an above-ground pool, you're going to get a manual vacuum system with it. And again, manual, keyword there.
Right.
I'm not into that.
Sounds like hard work.
No, it does. And I just, it's like, again, what's this easier way?
Right.
So we automatically put automatic cleaners with our pools. So whether it's an in-ground pool or an above-ground pool, an automatic cleaner's coming with it. So, I mean, because why have the question pop in your head while you're out there in the middle of the summer testing, brushing, vacuuming, and all of a sudden, why am I doing this?
Right.
Kids should be out here.
That's right.
My son should be out here. Well, guess what? That comes out, take that out of the, that won't, hopefully we can prevent that question from coming up by flipping a switch or setting the timer for the cleaner to take care of it. So now we have a built-in pool cleaner, and you set the time, and it takes care of the pool.
Nice.
And that is how you should be living. That's how you should be using your pool. Is set it, forget it, and it will keep the pool maintained. And there is different cleaners out there, but the primary thing is we're here to help you which one best. So, I mean, there's what they call suction side cleaners, there's pressure side cleaners, there's robotic cleaners. There is a lot. And it's our job to, again, diagnose, gather information from you, the homeowner, find out what type of pool you have, what type of environment, and what type of, usage of the pool and backyard. So we kind of, again, go overboard with all the questions, but we can find out the best cleaner that fits your pool.
Right.
So someone that did not buy a new in-ground or above-ground pool from us in the last few years, then if you just bought, I guess if you did buy the house and the pool came with it, then and you realize like, well, this is the house we love, and just happened to be a pool in the backyard.
Right.
If you go about it that way, that's okay. That's not a problem. That's where we come in and help you with that. Meaning, don't have an attitude like that because you don't want to cover it up.
Yeah.
And it's, $100,000 investment. And maybe the previous house that had the pool that you just sold, you're just kind of like, good riddance. I'm glad we got out of the house. But you relocated and another pool shows up. But really, they probably planned for that more than likely. The tight pool. Sometimes people know or don't know what's best to use when it comes for the cleaner. But bottom line is, you bought the house, you got the pool. Now what?
Yeah.
And that's where we come in. So once you again bring a water sample to us, we can completely test the water. And then if you have interest in not vacuum the pool in 110-degree heat and pushing the pool and brushing and dipping the leaves, we can be your.
That's right.
We can be the company that helps you out with that.
That's right.
And we like being heroes with stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So it makes it where, again, I enjoy that because that's what the pool is all about. It's family fun. There's no backyard work fun. No, it's all about fun, family fun. So we certainly will get the right cleaner that fits your pool.
Yeah.
And by doing that, their life will be easier moving forward.
Oh, so
Hopefully.
much. Yeah,
Right.
so
Yep,
much.
yep,
I
yep.
love that. Let's talk a little bit about the pool owner that has like a really unique feature in the pool. Like let's say like a waterfall, something like that. A waterfall feature. Is the cleaning process a little more difficult for that, or do you have a little more challenges with figuring that part out with a feature like that?
So, yes, another good question. So, the water feature and we put a lot of water features on our new installations today. Sun deck, well, it's not really a water feature, but it's a feature. Sun decks, we do what we call deck jets, and then, like a waterfall or like a scupper. This kind of something that shoots out over the water. Nothing really fancy, nothing like that, but it doesn't really require any special treatment. What I mean by that is usually all that's controlled by the equipment. So you can turn valves to operate those water features. So you can shut them down, and that way. So primarily, it's just there for aesthetics,
Yeah.
100%. There are some people will call spas a water feature because they're all the spas that we install with the new installation does spill. It spills over into the pool.
Right.
So it does have it's a water feature. It's got some sound, but it does require a little bit more attention because it's a separate body of water, but it's tied into the pool. So it is basically the same water. So if you take care of the pool, that's the same water for the spa.
Okay.
But it just so happens to spill over into the pool. So it makes it look cool.
It does look cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
they do
yeah,
look
and
very
the
cool.
sound, and you get a sound
That's right.
of the water.
Yeah.
So, and then there's really, unless there's some kind of a large grotto, we don't do those. Very, very little. We have done some of those, but it does not require anything when it comes to maintenance other than just treating the water.
Yeah. That might make a lot of people, a little sigh of relief, being
Sure.
like, "Hey, I thought about getting a feature
Sure.
like that, and is it
That's
going to
right.
be a lot more work?" But it doesn't sound like it's.
It's not.
It's not.
It's part of the pool equipment usually, and it's most of the time labeled at the equipment with the pump and the filters at. So it'll say water feature on there, and you just basically it's just a matter of it's mechanical.
Yeah.
Is what it turns out, and we can show you that. So a lot of times, when a new owner acquires another pool, or a just brand new first time pool owner, and they need some help with that. Nothing labeled. Maybe they didn't get it inspected or profiled prior to buying the house, and we offer that. So just to kind of segue in from the cleaning side of it, we can help you make sure the pool's in good shape
Yeah.
before the ownership takes place, and give you some guidance along the way. But we can determine right then if there's any issues with the feature, or we can explain the water feature to the new owners. So that's kind of where we come in. All we want to do is educate.
Yeah.
We want to help the homeowner and let them know that this is an asset, not a detriment. It's a liquid asset.
That's right.
And then
That's
that's
right.
right. So take advantage of that,
That's right.
and hopefully that people would understand that I need to start taking care of that. That's an
Yeah,
investment.
that's true.
That's right.
Very true. Last thing I wanted to ask you too is about saltwater pools. Can we just talk a little bit about the sort of pros and cons of that, overall, but also I know, because we'll probably talk about that on another episode coming up more in depth, something like that. But the cleaning and maintenance with somebody who wants to do saltwater pool, any different?
Man, you got great questions.
Well,
You
thanks.
do, and really and truly, that's the question that a lot of customers do ask. If they're purchasing or they have interest in a new in-ground pool or a above-ground pool, they a lot of times will say they want salt. They want a salt pool, and I'm going to give a quick, short version of that. And some might not agree. Most anybody in the industry would agree, of course. But a lot of times there's just a little bit of misunderstanding when it comes to understanding sanitation of salt pools. So a salt pool, and again, I'll keep it short as possibly can, it runs through a cell, and the cell has got these plates, and it's made of ruthenium, a certain type of metal that creates a energy inside that where it turns into hypochlorous acid when the water runs through it, which is consequently chlorine. So salt water, runs through this cell contraption, and on the end of it, it generates chlorine. So they're called chlorine generators, not salt generators.
Ah,
If they're generating salt, we'll have a big problem.
that's right.
So that is, in a nutshell, that's what they're called. And a lot of people don't want to believe they have a chlorine pool,
Right.
but that is what it generates. So, and the chlorine, the type of chlorine that the chlorine generates is an unstabilized. So a lot of people may have heard what they call CYA. Yes, a lot of people have, but in this version, it's called cyanuric acid, and it means stabilizer. And stabilizer is what keeps the chlorine in the water, meaning that sun, splash out, backwashing, etc., you lose the chlorine or the what I call the stabilization that way. So chlorine generators do not have stabilization in the makeup of that water. So therefore you have to add it. And that being said, that's where they come up with chlorine generator. It makes that, let me keep it more simple. The type chlorine that you use, like you call burnout or shock, let me shock the pool. That's the chlorine that it generates, is that makeup of chlorine.
Oh.
It is high in calcium and high in pH and alkalinity, but it's chlorine.
Yeah.
It's chlorine. And so, that being said, you have to keep a certain, what they call parts per million. And then the chlorine, you got to keep a certain level of parts per million of salt in the water. And if you keep it at a certain parts per million, it will maintain chlorine. So it's all about putting salt in the water. So you add pool salt to the actual body of water of the pool. And as it dissolves and you put it the right quantity amount in there, it will start generating chlorine. So but if you don't have the right parts per million, the right level of salt that's in that makeup of water that runs through that cell, it won't make it. It will not make it. So the ruthenium plates, the type of metal that's in there, is what it's all about. That's what makes it happen.
Right.
And electrolysis,
Yeah.
I think, is a good word to use. And the result of it is chlorine. Hypochlorous acid, in this case, we call it chlorine. And it's unstabilized chlorine.
Right.
And, that works amazing. It's amazing because you don't have to go buy like tablets or buy sticks. A lot of people don't buy those because now you have automatic generator
Right.
making chlorine.
It's being made.
It's
Yeah.
being made.
Okay.
It's being made. The only thing that a lot of misunderstanding is that it's like maintenance free. That's probably the worst thing. That's the chlorine generator and maintenance free should never be used in the same sentence.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But that was a misconception 20 plus years ago when it came out. So it's an educational thing. Manufacturers kind of, after explaining it, the education from there to the dealer, and then from the dealer to the customer, there's a breakdown a little bit. And we're all about transparency. And, we want the homeowner to come back to see us. When we're finished installing your beautiful backyard pool, we want you to bring in with a water sample. We want you to come back in and see us. And because we have a lot to offer, we'll wow you with all the chemicals and things we can treat the pool for. But we don't want you to come back with issues with your water, especially a brand new pool you just bought. So we do install chlorine generators on our new installations. It's an option. It's an option. We install stabilized chlorinators on our pools right now, and it's less maintenance for the customer. People would probably disagree. They think that chlorine generators is a lot less maintenance. Well, yes and no, because the unintended consequences, and the people think you can set it and forget it. But if you maintain it and you take care of it, sure, you can save money and save time. Unfortunately, they set it and forget it. There's a lot of it still out there, and it can create a lot of issues with the pool.
Right.
The high calcium and the high pH can cause a lot of problems with the finish of the pool. You can get a lot of scale.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep, the calcium levels get high, and you get a lot of scale buildup. And a lot of people see that white effervescent look, and they don't real sure why and where it came from. That's the consequence from the generator.
Yeah.
And again, it's just education. And
Mhm.
that's what we do. We are very clear with that. And the cool thing is we offer it. It's a choice. But we want the homeowner to be aware because it's not about, sure, if you want that, we got that.
Mhm.
It actually costs a bit more to put on the pool.
Yeah.
So we're not all about that. It's what's best for your pool.
Mhm.
And we know that it's easy to maintain. The system that we have is very simple, very easy to maintain, has this test stripping, and this makes it very, very simple. We believe in keeping that like that. But that's about the short as I could probably make that on the chlorine
Oh, I
generators.
learned so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
That was very interesting.
Well, and it's a lot of it is we've learned by trial and error.
Sure.
You know, it's like anything else. Like I said, we're practice,
Mhm.
and everybody practices the pool industry to the point, especially the chemical side of it. They try to find out what's best for the equipment, what's best for this market, what's best for the region,
Right.
what's best for the homeowner, based off the homeowners, what they've had in the past. So we just kind of cut through a lot of it and said we're going to keep it simple. We're all going to put a sanitation system in the pool, but we're going to keep it simple and explain to them that it's a stabilized chlorine generator, it's a fresh mineral water system, and it's easy to maintain. And you don't get chlorine smell. A lot of people get in a misconception about the smell of chlorine. Boy, that chlorine's strong.
Mhm.
What you're smelling is actually chloramines. Chloramines is, let me see the best way to explain that, is basically dirty chlorine.
Mm.
It's chlorine that's about to become algae.
Ah, okay.
And that's why you smell it.
Right.
It's not because you just shocked the pool or
Mhm.
added burnout. It's usually the high concentration of the odor is from that. So a lot of, and if it's an indoor pool, that's one thing, but it's outdoor pool. I can walk up to you and tell you that you about to have an issue with the pool,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's something that I guess probably I just grew up in it. Maybe had something to do with that. just,
I'm
just kind of.
sure. You got a nose for
You
it.
might, I guess that's the best way to put that. But we don't. We learned over the years what we think's best for the homeowner,
Mhm.
and we want to be certain we get the right equipment. And we partner with a lot of manufacturers, and we want to be certain that we partner with the right manufacturer. So
Right.
they have our back, and we got the customer's back. And if there's an issue, we're going to stand behind it. But it is certainly an education when it comes to salt. So people, I know a lot of them that's had salt pools
Mhm.
for 20, 30 years, 20 something years. I didn't hope I didn't burst the bubble, but the thing is, it's a great system, and there's nothing negative to be said about it. The main thing you need to know is it's to be educated. That's the biggest thing about it. And there's just a misconception that people have. It actually, like everything else, if you want something green, you want to save that energy, you pay for it up front,
That's
right?
right. Yeah.
And that's how this is.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Right.
You pay for it up front. You're not having to go out and buy your tablets or your sticks and
Mhm.
chalk and stuff like that. It will substitute for it.
Yeah.
But you just got to know how to maintain it
Mhm.
and know how it works. And that's bottom line, it's effective.
Yeah.
The sales will fail. I mean, they don't last forever.
Sure.
And eventually, average almost 5 years,
Okay.
5 to 7 years, you have to replace it. And that's costly. So $1,000 plus.
Mm.
Now these days it is. So if you take a pool and an annual season and you try to compare salt / chlorine generator pool,
Mhm.
and then you have a regular, what they call a chlorinator pool, a stabilized chlorinator pool, and you compare them for the 12 months out of the year, and you find out, and you're asking yourself, and you ask the dealer, the pool builder, before it's installed, which is less expensive.
Mhm.
And believe it or not, long term, our fresh mineral water system is actually less expensive. Chlorine generator you might get some more time out of it, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to replace the generator. And then you do have to add the other chemicals to offset the high calcium.
Right.
You got to add acid to offset the pH and alkalinity. So again, it's education. And as long as we know that when you bring your water sample into the store, we can help you. And again, we can show you. We have all this stuff right on the floor. We can point and is this one like yours or is it like that one?
Right.
And we can show you how to operate it. So
Right.
hands on, that makes it even better.
That's perfect. I feel like we at the end of this episode we got that star flying over us. The more you know, you know that one.
I like that. I
That's
like that.
absolutely perfect. Well, we're going to have links to everything we're talking about in the show notes of this episode. We're also going to have links to both locations, Savannah and Claxton, so you can drop off your water sample and ask all your questions and see the cleaning products and the cleaning tools that we've been talking about at pridepools.com. It's all going to be right there. Alex, always fun to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Same here, Dee. Really enjoyed it, and thank you for having me.
I learned a lot. Welcome back to Pride Pools and Backyard Family Fun as we continue to celebrate 50 years, and we're doing some really cool stuff all year long. So make sure you go back and listen to episodes from the beginning and get to know the family behind Pride Pools, get to know everything that's going on this year, and make sure you listen all the way to the end of this episode and find out how you can get a really good deal on some stuff at Pride Pools when you come into the Savannah location or the Claxton location, and pridepools.com as well. We've been doing these leadership spotlights too, and right now sitting down with, I'm pretty sure, one of my all-time favorite guys now.
You're too kind.
His name is Joe Driggers, PR, marketing, all the things here at Pride Pools. I truly think, Joe, that you are kind of just this thread that runs through Pride Pools, and you've been doing it now with them for 11
This is my
years.
11th year.
That's
yes.
amazing. That
Yeah.
says a lot.
It does. It's been a great ride. I mean, just to be in an industry that brings so much joy to people it's good to see every day that we get that backyard family fun to these families and their personal oasis.
Yeah, you nail the backyard family fun for
Right.
sure. And we started our show recording in Claxton. Today we're recording in the Savannah location. Both locations are, I think, so much bigger and have so much more going on than people might realize.
Oh, there's a lot going on, a lot behind the scenes. It's always something different every day.
Yeah.
We're bringing joy every day, but it's you get to see the joy in different people's faces and with their families. So today, every day is a different day.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things I'd love for you to talk about, because I know it's part of your role, Joe, is that when you see commercials on TV with Pride Pools, when you see a billboard for Pride Pools, you guys really, I think, nail the marketing, and that's one of the things that you get to have a hand in, right?
Correct. Yep. And I got get my creative juices flowing when I can, and I get to write the scripts for the commercials and design our billboards, as you mentioned, our print ads, anything social media. So that's a big part of my day is getting that word out and being creative and letting people who don't know who we are.
Yeah.
Every time we run a TV commercial, I know we're gonna get leads.
Yeah.
Because when I'm running a TV flight, through the emails, I'm getting these leads coming in. So we know advertising works
it
for us.
works,
And
yeah.
it started, when Mr. Gary started the company, he went right into advertising, knowing it's something we had to do to get the word out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you really can't beat that. I mean, I think that's what builds a successful business over 50 years is
Yes.
being able to really get into the community. One of the cool things that you guys recently had in Claxton was named Business of the Year?
Business of the Year. Yes,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it was. It was a good time, and Mr. Gary, our founder, got to be there that night and see the presentation. Don't know who wrote the nomination, but we were very, very fortunate
Right.
to win, and very, very happy and very surprised. So.
Yeah. Do you find it to be a challenge, or do you find it to be sort of an easy thing to be in such a wide area? I mean, because you're servicing Claxton and around that area, you're servicing Savannah and that whole sort of region of Savannah,
Right.
which is huge. I mean, you really had to really get to the customer, you've got a wide a
Right.
wide map.
We have a radius that is pretty big. We're a 65-mile radius between each store. So we get the small towns in rural Georgia, and then we get the bigger cities like Pooler and Richmond Hill here on the Savannah side. So, I got to make sure that I'm advertising and marketing in all those cities with publications and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's always a new newspaper popping up I got to be familiar with, or a
Right.
new radio station I got to be familiar with.
That's right.
So we get the word out in all aspects of our company.
Yeah, it really is a fun team, and it's a big team. What do you find to be most surprising to the new customer when they come in? Like, do you find that they didn't realize you do maybe all the things that you
Right.
do? Because, I mean, service, products, like...
Right, with purchase a pool or a hot tub is a major decision. You don't just wake up one morning and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy a pool today."
Right.
But they are when they come in and buy a pool, they realize we do maintenance. We come out, take care of your pool. We do have all the chemicals you need. We have all the maintenance items you need. We have a full-time service department that's dedicated to you. So I think a lot of people come in when they make that purchase and they realize everything they're getting, that they know they have a one-stop shop here.
Yeah, they don't have to call somebody else.
No, they don't have to call anybody
Which
else.
is
We
great.
take care of everything.
Yeah, that's really great. Do you have a favorite product right now that's come out, something new, or that's kind of...
Everything's good. One of my favorite is God, there's so many.
So many.
I always like to see the toys and games that come in, the floats and stuff, especially when kids come in. That's the first place they run to. And of course, if a kid wants a float, mom and dad or grandparents are going to buy them a float or a
That's
toy.
right.
But I always like to see the new floats that come in and new toys and games for the pool.
Yeah.
Just when you think you've seen it all, there's a new kind of float,
Right.
Some kind of floating device or a game that you can put in the pool to add to that backyard family fun. So I guess that's one of my favorite things, is seeing all those toys and games come in, the new additions of stuff.
Right. And grills. You have grills too. Do you
yeah.
have a favorite grill?
I personally have the Green Mountain Grill.
Oh, okay.
Which is a pellet grill.
Yeah.
It runs on electricity. And we had the Big Green Egg, which people love and
People
is well
love those.
known.
Yeah.
So we're getting right into that grilling season. So I love both of them. I've cooked on both of them because we do a lot of cooking here at the store. So I've cooked on the Big Green Egg and the Green Mountain Grill. But just my personal favorite is the Green Mountain Grill.
Yeah, I get that. And it's so interesting how, gosh, the technology has come so
Yeah, get it with
far.
Wi-Fi.
Yes.
If you're driving home one day, it's like, I want to grill tonight. You don't have to wait till you get home.
No.
You can just on your way home start it up.
Yeah.
and be good. Ready when you get home.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You can run
Then we
it
have
from the
some
app.
so we have some people who really enjoy barbecuing and grilling, and that ain't the way you barbecue. You get home and you prep and
Right.
you get everything ready.
Right.
But they love the grills. It's just two different worlds,
Yeah.
with people who like the Wi-Fi and then
Yeah.
people who are just dedicated grillers and that's their passion. They don't want that Wi-Fi stuff, as they say.
That's right. And yeah, speaking of technology, do you have a new, because even like the design of some of the hot tubs has come so far.
Right, and there's so many brands out there now.
Yeah.
And we try to keep a high, medium, and low, just a good cross price point for every customer that comes in.
Right.
So we're always looking at new lines that do come in, and the lines we do have always come out with new models. So it's always very interesting to see what they come up with next, and the technology, like you mentioned, that
Yeah.
they can add to a hot tub is
Right.
just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then it's very rewarding for that customer too to see what they can get with their hot tub. And they're sometimes amazed at it'll do that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm always so impressed every time I come in. I'm like, there's a different shape for a hot tub to fit like any space
Yeah.
that you would have. If
We
it's
got
a
round,
small or-
triangle,
yeah.
small, large, three person,
crazy.
6 person. We got
Right.
it all.
Yeah, it's really quite.
And then we got the
something.
new swim spa, of course, the
That's
big
right.
combo that which is really hot right now.
That's
So
become quite a trendy
it
thing.
has.
Yeah.
So we have that now as well.
Yeah, and you can actually see that when you come over to the Savannah location.
And
Is it
then
in
we-
Claxton
And
as
we
well?
got one in Claxton now.
It's
too, yeah.
really cool. So yeah, come by and see it. If you want to find either location, you'll see the links and the address and all the things in the show notes of this episode. I like to call him the heartbeat of Pride Pools, Joe
Well,
Driggers.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Stop by and say hi to Joe. He would love to see you. And
Sure would.
congratulations on not only your 11 years with Pride Pools, but 50 years altogether. And it's just going to keep getting better.
Yep. Great year to celebrate.
Let the celebrations continue. The team at Pride Pools is excited to give you a huge anniversary special. Actually, 3 of them. To celebrate 50 years all year long, you can get up to $10,000 in savings on 3 anniversary fiberglass pools. There are 3 sizes to choose from: the backyard size, the family size, and the fun size. How cool is that? So stop by the Claxton or Savannah locations of Pride Pools or go to pridepools.com for more information. And as a crazy awesome deal for our Backyard Family Fun podcast fans, you get 10% off anything inside either location in Claxton and Savannah, excluding pools, hot tubs, or saunas, when you mention the podcast. That's all you have to do. Go and visit the Claxton or Savannah Pride Pools, mention the podcast, and get 10% off. Now that's a reason to celebrate. Thanks for listening. Come by and meet your local pool and spa experts in Claxton on Highway 280 West or in Savannah on Gateway Boulevard South, or go to pridepools.com. If you love backyard family fun as much as we do, be sure to give us a rating and review and subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. And if you have a question or topic you'd love for us to cover, drop us an email, info@pridepools.com, or tap the links for Facebook or Instagram in the show notes of this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Now let's go make a splash and have some backyard family fun.
Pride Pools.